is lesson 12, partial knitting, using a KR 260.
Alright, so here we go with partial knitting in 1x1 ribbing. Let's take a look what our book says, shall we? So the book says, partial knitting is used for shaping of a garment, making darts, shaping of a heel, vertical and horizontal buttonholes, neck opening, pockets, etc. There are two cases. One is decreasing of a knitting part. Another is increasing of a knitting part. The example is partial knitting of 1x1 rib. However, 2x2 rib, full needle rib, 5x5, blah, 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 are the same manner as 1x1. So in other words, we don't have to do full needle rib on this one. What we need to do is we need to start with decreasing. So it is the example when you decrease in the left side, bring needles to E position when the carriage is placed on the other side. In this case, the right side. You can decrease the stitches only at the side opposite to the carriage. So here are our settings. We are going to put the main carriage in hold, and we're going to lower our Russel levers on either side of our ribber carriage. Is that in frame? There. Okay, so let's do that. Here we go. Hold, Russel, Russel. Done. Okay, so now that we've done that, bring the non-knitting needles of KH and KR to E position. So let's just follow what this says, and let's do 3 of each. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And move the connected carriage from right to left. The needles in B position knit, and the yarn is across the needles in E position. Let's see. Why? Yes, it is. Now, it says it is very important that you do this little yarn over. I know, big term. And now, to avoid a hole in the knitting, put the blah, 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 blah in E position. Move the connected carriage from left to right. Okay, so now we have 2 on that one. And bring another 3 up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we knit across. Yarn over. Knit across. And there is your partial knitting. We're going to leave those on the bed, okay? Now, we should go into partial knitting increase. Why, there we go. Here we are doing our dart. So, when you're increasing in the left side, you can increase the stitches only at the side opposite of the carriage. So we have the carriages set the same way. No changes there. And now we will bring the non-knitting needles of the KH and KR to E position. Okay, we've done that. Move the connected carriage from right to left. The needles in B and D position. And the yarn is crossed on the thing. Okay, so we are going to knit across again. Okay, so now we have this. So it says, to avoid the hole in the knitting, put the yarn behind the innermost needle on KR or KH, which is in E position, and then move the connected carriage from left to right. Oh, no, we're here. Okay, so move the connected carriage from right to left. The needles in B and D knit, and the yarn is crossed. Okay. So we are going back here again. Okay. Okay, so we are doing an extra here. And now we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Knit across. That makes sense because we just put them into D position. So we knit across. Okay. Put that back behind here. Knit back. And now these go back into working position. So this is definitely how we do socks. Okay. And now everything is back in working position. 1, 2, 3. As you can see, barely see here, my rubber comb is having a fit, which to me is pretty funny. So we are now going to knit a few more rows, release the yarn, and take a look. Alright, so here you can see where we had normal knitting and then we did our partial. And because we did the yarn over, there is no big gaping hole in what we've been doing. And as you can also see, it is now curved, just like Diana Sullivan's circular blanket. So welcome to partial knitting. Even with ribbing, it's easy to do. Alright. Partial knitting of racked pattern. In the racked pattern, it is impossible to bring both needles to E position, so please knit partial knitting of racked pattern according to the following method. The example is a racked half fisherman's rib. It is the example when you decrease on the left side, you can decrease the stitches only at the opposite side of the carriage. Set the carriages shown in the figure. So you have partial knitting on the ribber. Okay, so partial knitting on the ribber. P is for partial, still in one. Both are in part. And you're not in hold on the main. Bring the non-knitting needles of the KR bed to E position. Bring the knitting needles of the KH bed to E position. Move the connected carriage from right to left. The plain needles on E position and the purl needles in B position. The plain needles on E position, the purl needles in B position. Knit. Okay, so you will still knit on the main bed, and the purl needles in E position will not knit. Okay, to avoid the hole, bring the knitting needles of the KH bed. Did I not understand that? Set the carriages. Bring the non-knitting needles of the KR bed to E. Bring the knitting needles of the KH bed to E. No. Bring the knitting needles of the KH bed to E. Okay. So then it will knit them. And the needles on the main bed that are not forward will not be knit, because of the fact that we have the part buttons pressed. Okay, so move the connected carriage from right to left. The plain needles in E position and the purl needles in B position knit. And the yarn is across the purl needles in E position. Okay, so we can kind of understand that, right? To avoid the hole, we do the same behind the needle that is the most forward. Set the racking indicator to on the next number. Bring the knitting needles of KH bed to E position. Okay, so we are definitely knitting on the main bed, but we are not knitting on the ribber. And of course, because the needles on the main bed are back, they are already not going to knit off. Move the connected carriage from left to right. So that actually makes a lot of sense. Because the part buttons are engaged, any needles that are back are not going to knit. So they are already in hold, basically. Because you don't have a punch card in. So it's not being told to do anything. And for increasing, it's the same idea. Okay. So there's really no reason to show that one. Partial knitting of a drop stitch. No difference, because in a drop stitch, you are using the ribber for 99%. You just put the needles back out of work position on the main bed, and then you just use your Russel levers on the ribber. I think that's pretty easy to listen to. No problem there. Increasing knitting pattern. Decreasing. Okay, so we did that. It is the example when you increase in the left side, you can increase the stitches only at the side opposite of the carriage. Set the holding cam lever left or right of KR. Click, 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 click. When the asterisk of the punch card is on the set line, operate the D slider to drop the stitches on the KR bed. Bring the non-knitting needles of KH bed to A position. When the asterisk of the punch card is not on the set line, drop all the stitches on the non-knitting needles by hand and return them to A position. I believe this is talking about still with the drop stitch, because you can see how it's got the longer loops. We're fine. It's convoluted wording, but you still get the same idea where you're just bringing your stitches back into work and making sure that you do that one yarn over. It's all fine. What threw me off was the asterisk of the punch card. No worries there. How to transfer a purl needle to a plain needle. Okay, I pretty much did demonstrate that with my single prong transfer tool. That's not a big deal. You guys all saw that. How to shape a round neckline. Okay, so I will set up a very simple round neckline, and we will do it in We'll do it in 1x1 ribbing, and then we will follow what they claim that we need to do, and then we'll do it the right way.
In the next video, we will be shaping a round neckline.